Good morning and welcome to all. It's kind of cool to see everybody in the middle. It seemed a natural occurrence, but I like it for sure. Announcements today. Dorothy McKay would like to thank everybody that sang happy birthday to her last Sunday after the service. Yeah, it was nice. I hope it was a great birthday. Carry-in dinner and monthly meeting next Sunday. I want to remember Greg in our prayers as he has his knee replaced on Wednesday. Any other announcements? All right, there's one more.
Thank you, Dawn, for letting me slip in here with an announcement. But several of you know that I sing with the choir called Arise, which is a predominantly African-American choir with a few of us white folk that are singing with it too. And we have an annual concert in November, usually the Sunday before Thanksgiving. So our big concert of the year is next 1 week from today at 5:00 p.m. at the Metroplex. And I would love for any or all of you to come to that. It will be a really good concert. And we've been working on the music, and it's getting there very well. It's going to be really good. And I don't have tickets with me today. Unfortunately, I forgot them. But the tickets are actually free. So I would be happy to give you a ticket. Now, just so you know, there will be like a free will offering taken at the event, but of course it's free will, it's optional. And but the tickets to get into the program are entirely free. And Patty has her hand up. And so Patty also, I was going to even mention her because with your ticket, it also has a chance to win some prizes. And last year, Patty was one of the ticket numbers that was chosen as a prize winner. So they've got several prizes that they get from around the community to give away. So I would love for you to let me know that you would like to have 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10 tickets, or however many you think of folks you can take with you for next Sunday, and just talk to me after worship, and if not, I may send out some emails this week or make some phone calls, but I'd love to have some folks come. Thank you. Okay.
We went last year. It was a great concert. Very meaningful for sure. Let's stand and greet one another. Chattery crowd. Hope you're sounding short. I haven't time. Let's remain standing and turn to hymn number 392, More About Jesus. More about Jesus I would know, more of his grace to others show, more of his saving fullness see, more of his love who died for me, more about Jesus.
you pray with me today? Loving God, I thank you so much for your very presence with us. As we settle our hearts and mind to heighten the awareness on our part of your presence, I pray that you will begin a good work of healing and goodness and love in our hearts, and that it would be very good that we were together today. I pray in advance for Greg as he is preparing for surgery on Wednesday, that the whole medical team and all that's involved would go well and go smoothly, and that this would just be the very next right thing for him to do, and that your healing could immediately start taking place. I thank you for the fact that we gather next week for monthly meeting and in a time of sharing over a meal. All these things are so important to our knowing more about you and your love for us. So we just thank you for your presence again, and we love you so much. Amen.
Our hymn of peace this morning is found at 140. There's a quiet understanding.
Good morning. I'll be reading from Romans 12, 10 to 13. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honor, not lagging behind in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, persevering in tribulation, devoted to prayer, contributing to the needs of the saints, practicing hospitality.
Thank you, Mary. I first of all wanted to share in the fact that this sermon, whatever that means, today is different than what I was originally going to do. When Dawn asked me I thought, oh, I have prepared a 3-day retreat on prayer, and I'll just consolidate that into sharing for this morning. And I've done all the study and all that kind of thing. But 2 weeks ago, I got a detour on that idea. It was a really fun thing. After worship, we were invited to go to lunch with some friends, Pam and Doug, and we had a great time. We didn't talk shop, really. We talked about our parents. We talked about stories about when we were first married. Molly got to go with us. She got to hear things that she's never heard before. And I just felt like it was just such a joy to be together. It's one of those things you always say, well, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. And spontaneously we did. And as I went home, it was such a tenderizing moment, renewing and deepening friendship in a way that I had no wonder Jesus thought this was important. To practice hospitality, to provide space for us to be together. Us as in the community of God. And so I just wasn't let go of that idea. So this is new for me. And what you're going to see, which hasn't happened yet, isn't technology a beautiful thing? I'm going to do this, and David's going to save the day. But I'm going to go down here and just touch that. See if it'll start again. Perfect. Well, we needed that there. That was on purpose. Okay. This is a collection of pictures to just be going on as I'm talking of all the ways hospitality can be practiced. No gender, no stigma. I mean, there's just a lot of, and so I just hope this will help you and you'll enjoy as I'm talking. And it's supposed to be on a loop, so if it just stops, it stops, it's fine. Okay, Romans 12. This is, as Mary just said, be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honor, not lagging behind in diligence, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, rejoicing in hope, persevering in tribulation, devoted to prayer, contribute to the needs of the saints, practice hospitality. Romans is coming out this passage is coming right after there's just been all the lists of the gifts of the Spirit, which hospitality is one of them. But this is interesting to me that this is also pulled out of not just a gift of the Spirit, but it is something for all the people to practice hospitality. So we're encouraged to offer an invitation to share in each other's lives. I also wanted to step back into the Old Testament and go to the story in Genesis 18 of Abraham. God appeared to Abraham at the oaks of Mamre while he was sitting at the entrance of his tent. It was the hottest part of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing. He ran from his tent to greet them and bowed before them. He said, "Master, if it please you, stop for a while with your servant. I'll get some water so you can wash your feet. Rest under this tree. I'll get some food to refresh you on your way, since your travels have brought you across my path." Well, they said, "Certainly, go ahead." Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. He said, "Hurry, get 3 cups of the best flour and knead it and make bread." And then He ran to the cattle pen and picked out a nice plump calf and gave it to the servant, who lost no time getting it ready. Then he got curds and milk, brought them with the calf that had been roasted, and set the meal before the men, and stood there under the tree while they ate. Another offering, an invitation to welcome the other into your life. I found it really helpful to look at some historical things about hospitality, to kind of explain from a Wikipedia perspective what hospitality means. It says, a stranger passing outside a house could be invited inside the house by the family. The host washed the stranger's feet, offered food and wine, and only after the guest was comfortable could they even ask his or her name. Two elements of ancient hospitality were protection and guidance. Hospitality is about compensation, equalizing the stranger and the host, making him feel protected and taken care of, and at the end of his hosting, guiding him to his next destination. So it's really quite an interesting thing. You know, sometimes we really lift up a host as, you know, greater than, or wow, aren't they something what they've done? But the purpose of that they're alluding to here is that the host's whole motivation is to bring the stranger into a kind of equality with them, that they are as welcome in their home as the one who lives there. And that was just fascinating to me as you think of strangers and you kind of suppress, and you're wary as the word, of a stranger. So I appreciate this idea, and I know it has a lot to do with the nomadic tendencies of the way people lived. You know, they depended, the three men depended on the hospitality to get across the desert of those who were established. There was a dependency there, but it was also a choice of the host to either offer hospitality or not. So it's just kind of an interesting concept of looking at the history there that I like. But I want to be like Abraham. I want to get up and run to the stranger or the guest and greet and care for them. As a guest or a stranger myself, have I ever judged a host? No. When I have needed hospitality, or if I've been fortunate to come underneath good hospitality, I don't look at them with any kind of judgment. I am grateful, and I am so happy to receive the love that they are offering. And I appreciate it. I appreciate the attention and the care that's offered. I am humbled as well to be served. It is a good thing to be invited in as the guest or stranger. It feels good and right. The beauty of hospitality is it can be so many things. There are so many ways to practice hospitality. One is not limited, like I said before, by gender or age, or really anything. Hospitality is something that can be done in response to whatever life brings your way. The main thing you must have is a heart to respond, a heart to love others, and whatever way you are created to do that. The purpose of practicing hospitality is easy in that it equalizes who we are in each other's eyes. It opens doors into each other's lives, and it provides space for information to be shared that deepens friendship. It's a place of discovery. When practiced with the best community of God, the blessed community of God. None of us are the best yet, but it's a good thing, it's a safe thing, and it's actually quite fun. Yes, hospitality sets the stage for healthy growth and love to happen. The amazing thing about hospitality is that when practiced within our meeting, good and helpful areas of trust can develop. We actually become aware of concerns and joys, aches and pains that might otherwise go unnoticed or uncared for. We are all different, and I believe that there are just as many ways, full of variety, to offer hospitality to each other as there are differences in our personalities. Who doesn't appreciate being cared for? Like I was just sharing my own experience. Who doesn't like being invited into a comfortable, caring space? I think all of us. And here are some ideas. I want to be mindful to thinking ahead of others' needs and wants. In any circumstance, we'll have a carry-in dinner next Sunday. There was a time when I would think ahead, thinking, okay, will there be any children? Will we need the boosters? Will we need the high chairs? Boy, that's a foreign word in my brain already. But you know what I'm saying? Thinking ahead of, will there be somebody who really is celiac? Do they need gluten-free? Will somebody be there? That thinking ahead of others' needs and wants is so meaningful. And not everybody can think of everything, but this person can think of that, and this person can think of that, and things are cared for well. Being intentional, planning actual things, events. What it ends up looking like is a chance to provide sacred space. And that sounds all spiritual and religious and stuff, but it's really a precious idea. But the thing is, the sacred space can be anywhere. It can be in your dining room. It can be down in the fellowship hall. It can be on a Zoom gathering. It can be in a coffee shop, which personally is my favorite sacred space of all time. It can be on the creek's edge. It can be at a picnic table. It can be on the front porch. It can be at a baseball stadium. It can be in the grocery store line. It can be time spent in these very aisles in little wonderful gatherings. Sacred space can be developed anywhere. We all have stories of when we have been welcomed well, treated kindly, and felt cared for. Grandma's house, a church potluck or carry-in dinner, an unknown person holding the door for you, a great vacation spot or hotel experience, a spontaneous invitation out to eat. And even big events, holidays, weddings, birthdays, or even that little tea party with the favorite young child. I'm discovering that it has hospitality, practicing hospitality has everything to do about the other persons, the way I can love them. What are their needs? How can I meet those needs? How can I help? What can I do to help? feed you, provide a place to sleep, take care of you, buy a cup of coffee. Okay, going back to the Romans passage. God's people are called to practice hospitality. I just want to take a minute here to talk about what it means to practice anything. Practice defined is to put something into living out, carrying out, performing, apply, follow, observe. Repeat something over and over to get better at it. To do something repeatedly to improve performance. You do that in sports, you do it in art, you do it in your hobbies. Do something. You have to, and I like the fact that if I'm going to apply this idea of repeatedly doing something over and over to get better at it when I'm offering hospitality, that means it's not always going to go the best, maybe, or you're going to get to the picnic and not have silverware or plasticware, or I thought you were going to do this or that. Those things happen, but you're still together. And there's something valuable about trying again and doing it again, practicing it. And it's also the expectation of it being perfect is therefore not expected. When my kids come to their piano lessons and they have practiced all week, I know it's not going to be perfect, but if they have another week of practice, it gets closer and closer and closer to a performing level. So that's a good thing. Practice is not always fun sometimes, but I like the idea that when we're willing to practice something that could end up being really great and fun, that there's a motivation there to do it. To do it often brings ease and knowledge around the thing you're practicing. So this applies to hospitality. I think Jesus was a pro at practicing hospitality. The Gospels all show wonderful stories of Jesus doing things, living life that invited people into safety and love through acts of hospitality. I like this because Jesus was a man, and we don't always think about men being gifted or practicing hospitality. So I just love that it's lifting up the fact that we're all in this together to consider what it might mean for us. Jesus fed the people. In Matthew, Jesus said, "Bring them here." How cool. Bring them. Just bring them. Then he had the people sit on the grass. He took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, lifted his face to heaven in prayer, blessed, broke, and gave the bread to the disciples. The disciples then gave the food to the people. They all ate their fill. They gathered 12 baskets of leftovers, and about 5,000 were fed. The job got done. Jesus cared for all around him, providing comfort and kindness, equalizing all in the room. In John 13, Jesus said, "If you've had a bath in the morning, you only need your feet washed now, and you're clean from head to toe. My concern, you understand, is holiness, not hygiene. So now you're clean, but not everyone, because he knew who was going to betray him was there." After he had finished washing their feet, he took his robe, put it back on, and went back to his place at the table. Then he said, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You address me as teacher and master, and rightly so. That is what I am. So if I, the master and teacher, washed your feet, you must now wash each other's feet. I've laid down a pattern for you. What I've done, you do. I'm only pointing out the obvious. A servant is not ranked above his master. An employee does not give orders to the employer. If you understand what I'm telling you, act like it and live a blessed life. So he practiced hospitality in presenting himself in an act of kindness and love in service to everyone in the room. He encouraged and championed the hard to love. He enjoyed your company. Jesus enjoyed people who were around him. Luke 19 is the story of Zacchaeus, and Jesus is entering into Jericho. There was a man there, his name Zacchaeus, the head taxman and quite rich. He wanted desperately to see Jesus, but the crowd was in his way, and he was a short man and couldn't see over the crowd. So he ran on ahead and climbed up in a sycamore tree so he could see Jesus when he came by. That's all he wanted. When Jesus got to the tree, he looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, hurry down. Today is my day to be a guest in your home." Zacchaeus scrambled out of the tree, hardly believing his good luck, delighted to take Jesus with him. Everyone who saw this incident was indignant and grumpy. What business does he have getting cozy with this crook? Zacchaeus just stood there a little stunned. He stammered, apologetic, because he had just been put in his place, which was not equal to the rest. He stammered apologetically, "Master, I give away half my income to the poor, and if I'm caught cheating, I pay 4 times the damages." Jesus said, "Today is salvation day in this home. Here he is, Zacchaeus, son of Abraham, for the Son of Man came to find and restore the lost." Equalized. He thought ahead and met all the needs of the people. The story of after Jesus had died and he had returned to the disciples in the upper room, and then they went out to fish. And this story where they're out fishing all night long, and Jesus tells them to put it on the one side, and they get this whole big bunch of fish. And Jesus goes, "Throw your net on the right side of the boat and you will find some." When they did, they were unable to haul the net in because of the large number of fish. Then the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." As soon as Simon Peter heard him say, "It is the Lord," he wrapped his outer garment around him, for he had taken it off, and jumped into the water. The other disciples followed in the boat, towing the net full of fish, for they were not far from the shore, about 100 yards. When they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals there and some bread. Jesus had already prepared a fire to cook the fish he knew they would catch. But he thought ahead. It wasn't just a spontaneous thing. He was meeting the needs of these hungry men that needed the encouragement, not only that he was alive now, he had resurrected, but, he was meeting their bodily needs. Jesus said to them, "Bring some fish you just caught." And so Simon Peter climbed back into the boat and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish. I don't know how they get this number, 153 of them. But even with so many, the net was not torn. And Jesus said to them, "Come, have some breakfast." Hospitality shows a great degree of love. It takes love to offer hospitality. Those gifted with hospitality and service don't know any other way to show their love but through offered hospitality. Those are the ones gifted with the spiritual gift of hospitality. like other specialized things. But those like us that maybe not quite so drawn to always responding with hospitality are still called to practice hospitality. Serving and being hospitable is an avenue to expressing and showing love. We know what needs to happen in our lives to feel love. It helps us know what needs to happen in others' lives. Being sensitive to needs and circumstances, and then responding is most often the answer. You shouldn't be able to help it. The very health of our body depends on it. If you are neglected within the church, it makes an impression. It wounds, it drives people away from God. If we practice hospitality and service, we show people love. We show people Christ in us. We show people God. So, to end, what does hospitality actually look like? Well, for some of us, we assume the idea that hospitality means the full meal with the tablecloth, the silver, the crystal, with dessert and coffee served in the parlor, and the house absolutely spotless. There is nothing wrong with that. That is my mother's gift to offer the world. But the actual idea for the majority of us is it's more likely to be a simple meal. Soup in the crock pot, bread from Dillon's, carrot sticks with ranch dressing, and a pan of brownies. Sprinkled with powdered sugar real quickly because you didn't have time to make frosting. It's about spending time getting to know each other, really know each other, discovering ways that we are the same. So to go through this discovery process, it is just really cool to find out who each other is. God sees us and can't wait to provide safe spaces for us to get to know each one of us. God loves us and loves being with us, providing all that we need to be cared for and at peace. God sent his Son to show us ways to practice hospitality, ways to love each other. God wants that for his people as well. So consider how you might love each other through practicing hospitality. Especially as we get into the holidays, it's not unusual for lots of hospitality to happen. If hospitality is lacking, it is noticed. If hospitality is not lacking, it is really noticed as well.
About 40 years ago, plus, we, am I on? About 40 years ago, we were in a situation that we came to a Quaker church and realized that most people were born Quakers. And we said something one day to David Leach, and he said, "Oh, just tell them you're part of my family." So several years after that, we were in a situation where we started building a house. And my daughter can characterize that very well by saying at the age of, I don't know, 3, 4, I think, that a foolish man builds his house upon the mud. And so we had sold our house and leased another rental for 6 months. And since it rained and rained and rained and rained out the footings over and over again, we didn't quite have our house where it was supposed to be at the end of our 6 months. And we found that we were going to be at the end of our lease with really not having our house ready to move into yet. Unfortunately, Lavana's mother had lost David shortly before that point in time. And she just looked at us and said, "I have a large house. I'm by myself in this large house. And I would really welcome you guys to come stay with us while you finish working on the house." Now, Marcille was a wonderful cook. She had a wonderful house, but she also had wonderful hugs. And she would scratch your back as she hugged you. And anybody who knows Marcille will remember the scratched back. But she took in our family of 4 to stay with her right up till Christmas as we were putting together our house out in Goddard. And it's just the hospitality that Marcille had. It can't even be a human hospitality. It's a God-given hospitality that she shared so beautifully with our family, and I know so many other people. And so we're not pulling out heroes, but yet we are, because for so many of us, it's a great privilege to learn to be hospitable in the name of the Lord.
I'm glad you mentioned the people that have the gift of hospitality are such a wonderful thing to have in your life. And it doesn't come naturally to me because I am always self-doubt on my hospitality skills. But I think it's important to receive hospitality. It is a give and take situation, to be gracious, not only in giving hospitality, but in receiving it. And sometimes we don't feel like we're worthy to receive hospitality. And just to always know and look at the lessons that Jesus gave us, that we're always worthy of the hospitality that's given to us, and that we should always be thankful for it, but to receive it openly. And that for me, who I don't feel like I have that gift of hospitality necessarily, there's other ways, like LaVonna shared, that we can offer hospitality. I try to make my classroom a hospitable environment where everyone feels welcome and not judged and safe. And providing a safe environment for people to feel welcome in, I think, is something that we can all do in little and big ways. So thank you for the message today.
Our sister to remind us about hospitality. Many years back, when we were in Kenya, there was chairman, I think if I'm not wrong, his name was Tom. He was the chairman of FWCC, and he was visiting Africa, and he came to our house. We had a very small house, and my wife, she prepared food for him. And he was so happy. And lastly, he said, would you like to attend the conference in America? And my wife said, yes, I can attend. He came here back to America, and he invited my wife to come. It gave my wife an opportunity to see many places. Even here, Friends University was one of the church she visited too. And she was staying around here, attending the conference which was going on here. So the reason for hospitality is very important. And it doesn't know, or you can't know what the outcome would be. This was many years back, and you can see we are back here again. So hospitality can open something that you cannot imagine. We have been with friends with him for many years, and he, even one day he told me to write an article to FWCC so that people can discuss about friends, and I did that. So hospitality, because of what my wife did to him, opened many things, even not only for my wife, but even to me. So I just want to say thank you so much to remind us about hospitality. It can take time, sometime, but you never know the outcome. So my prayer is, let's do that. We never know what God has for us in store. It can be for your children, it can be for your friend, it can be for your church, but it can be for anybody. So please, let's do that. And I will say thank you so much for our sister to remind us about hospitality. In many ways, even in the Bible, we see how hospitality was to those people who welcome unknown people. Thank you so much.
I loved yesterday in part because of the chance to be host and do what I could for Nancy's, not farewell, till we meet again, and just helping wherever I could. It was also an opportunity to see her family again, people that I have not seen for quite a while, but it was a beautiful day. And I think playing the hostess had a lot to do with it. I think about what LaVonna said about the grocery store line and simple ways where being hospitable is boy, is it an important part in this world today, where everywhere you turn, there's frowns and scowls that can be turned by a simple word.
Are all hearts clear this morning? Then let's stand and turn to hymn number 105, God Be With You, and we'll just do the first and last verses.
God, I'd ask that you would just continue to percolate the ideas of what hospitality might mean to each one of us, because I believe it shows us how to love. We thank you for your presence today and ask that you would Continue to teach us throughout the week. In the name of our friend Jesus, amen.